Is we live? Let me turn this music down before they try to get me for some copyright violations. Sorry about that. Uh, I forgot to turn my data on once I left the house. At home, I use Wi-Fi, of course, like most people. So when I leave the house, I have to turn on the data to have. Yeah, what I was saying was just like Facebook, when you use music in your Facebook posts or videos with copyrighted music, some people make sure they put a comment on there saying, I do not own the rights to this music or whatnot, but still, in order to be safe, you shouldn't do it at all. But anyway, enjoying your Friday so far. It is a beautiful day here in Omaha, Nebraska. It's been like 100, feeling like 120 for like 2 weeks. And today is supposed to be only like 85, so it should be a really nice day today. And I'm just out and about running some errands, so I thought I'd come at you live today just to review a little bit of Love Is, the show on the channel. And I am still enjoying the show. It's a Nuri, the lady Nuri and Nasir, who are both in the entertainment, directors, writers, whatever, for TV shows and movies. And it's basically just going over how they met and everything, their love story, their all that they've been going through. Um, I guess they on this last episode, excuse me, Nuri, she finally has some questions for you, sir. Now you know they met back. They met at a club or bar, restaurant, whatever that place is called, whatever it is, and it's called Insomnia. That's the name of the place, but I just couldn't determine if it's a bar or restaurant or whatever. But so they been going strong and fell in love right away. Basically, I wouldn't say love at briefly, and then a year later met again, and then started kind of dating or whatnot. But they have a complicated relationship because Nuri, she's trying to figure out what she wants to do relationship wise. She got several suitors that she has been seeing at the same time. I believe it's like three of them. And then she meets Nasir, who's going through a lot, trying to find his niche into the entertainment world and trying to get producers and to pick up his scripts, and because he wants to be a writer director. And so he's doing really bad still. On the last episode, his live-in ex-girlfriend, well, they were dating and then they broke up, but he was still staying there. And since she is like realizing that he's dating other people and he's not helping financially uh, in the household, she tells him he has to go. Of course, he doesn't tell Nuri that. I mean, even back then, in the 80s and 90s, wasn't no man just going, I'm homeless. Especially when he really likes a female, just, I'm homeless. I have nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. He don't have a job. Thank God he looks good. Thank God he looks good. Because you cannot tell. You know how they say, thank God I look better than what I've been through, or I don't look like what I'm going through. So that's where we at with Nasir, with his situation. And so anywho, Neri's mom, she comes over and she's talking to her, chatting it up and stuff, having a little mother-daughter, talk. And she's asking about this guy that Nuri is so, in love with. And he's like, what's his name? She's like, you sure? What's his last name? I don't know. Uh, I mean, she's asking all these questions about him, personal questions that we as women, we as anybody, even if a man, if you're dust this off, if you're dating somebody, be cool to ask really super personal questions. But it is important to know people because forbid body and know your butt come up missing. And don't nobody know any personal information about the person that you're dating. So, she basically, her mom tells her, you need to find out more information about this guy. And I think really because her mom probably, wants to meet wants to meet your sir, so she will, see what kind of guy that her daughter is all in love with and everything. And so your sir, he sets up so he can go speak to, go see I'm getting his name. Oh, Ruby. We'll get back to her. Ruby. He sets it up where him and Nuri, they're supposed to go, on a date. And it ends up that, well, before that, Nuri had invited him over to her place. And basically, she had him over there. They were discussing things and um, laying around and, having fun and all that. And I like how he told her when she called him baby, he was like, um, I really don't like that name. And see, what I like the most about Yashir, although he's going through a lot, although he doesn't have a job, although he's homeless, no money, no nothing, he's still a man's man. And so, she respectfully, like, because she was like, my baby or whatever. He's like, no, I don't like to be called my baby. And so she was like, okay. And then later she asked him, is it okay if I call you honey? And he's like, honey, I like that. And she's like, okay, good, because I have a honey-do list for you. So she puts him to work around the house, and it's so romantic how they acting like little teenagers, and he's helping her strip her walls, from wallpaper and everything. And they're sitting around, and Nuri starts getting phone calls, and she lets them go to voicemail. I don't know why she would do that, because if you a man or a woman and you got your uh, whoever you're dating or seeing or whatnot over your house, but you also have people on the side, why would you let your phone go to voicemail and it's going to be announced out loud in front of your company? Like, Nasir, I'm sorry, I'm surprised he didn't run out the room, because when the first guy called, then the second guy called, and one of them wanted to take her on a ski trip, and the other one just wanted to hook up with her, and they all like, I miss you. And you could just tell without them saying so much that they were men she was seeing. And Nasir, he like, just like any man, he's like, hold up, wait a minute, is she a hoe? She out here like that in these streets? I'm sure that's what he was thinking. And you couldn't tell at first, but when he tried to act like he was all cool with it and whatnot, and she was like, "Oh, I'll just cancel the camping trip. The ski trip." And he was like, "No, no, no. You made plans before me, so go ahead on the ski trip." And she was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'll call him back and let him know I." He was like, "The hell you is." So he got a little jealous then. It was so cute. And so she's basically, you know what? These guys, one of them, I broke his heart last week when, I wouldn't give him the time of the day. And that was basically when she went out with your sir, when they had went out for the, what was it, a play or something they had went to? Oh, no, a concert that they had went to. So, anywho, he's like, he didn't walk out of there. He didn't run. You know, they set it up to where they could go. They make plans, you know, to hook up. And he goes outside and his car won't start. He's embarrassed, homeless, no money, no job. Your car is raggedy. He driving around in a putt putt, and he sits out there. He wasn't about to go back in there and tell her, a man's man. He's not about to go back in there and tell her his car broke down or that he needs to use her AAA because he's like, I wish I would ask this woman for her AAA, especially when he hasn't really. I mean, they only been together for a minute. They don't really know each other that well, and he doesn't want to appear to be needy to her, because I think that's what his one of his strengths is, to always try to do whatever he can with what he got. So I like that about Yasir. And so he calls his homeboy, you know, I need to get the AAA. He doesn't call him back or whatnot. So she sees him outside sitting in the car, sitting on top of the car, smoking a cigarette, comes out there, you know, invites him back into the house, and he ends up spending the night and everything. And then the next day, she has to go to work. Well, she actually was supposed to go to work, but then her boss gave her the day off. And so she decides, you know, run some errands or whatnot because her friend wanted her. That's what I was going to. Oh, the friend part. The friend was when she, okay, so her friend, I guess they have some kind of pact, and it's funny because I remember doing this when I was younger with my homegirls or my sisters. If you were out on a date, like if it was a first date, second date, you know, you really still getting to know somebody, and you would tell your homegirl, your sister, or somebody, you know what, call me like an hour into the date, or you know, like 30 minutes or an hour into the date, and just pretend like, you know, it's an emergency, or just, you know, ask me what's up, how I'm doing or something, and I'll pretend like it's an emergency, and like I gotta go, my kid's sick, you know, somebody needs help, mother, anybody, so I can get out of this date. So that's what her homegirl did to her, and so she had to leave, after she realized she didn't have to work, and Nasir, you know, he had to go, and so she leaves, and he's sitting outside in his car like, what is eyes gonna do? What is eyes gonna do? And his bud takes his car and pushes it down the street away from her house, so that when she come back, she won't notice that his car is still sitting there and wonder, why is his car still sitting there and he's not here, you know? So I guess he didn't want her to think that he couldn't afford to get his car fixed or get his car towed. So anywho, she calls up his homeboy, tells him again, you know, you ain't hit me back. I need your AAA. And he's like, I'm sorry, dude, but you know what? Only got one more AAA, or you know, one more emergency roadside service on the AAA. And he's like, but remember, Ruby, your ex? Why don't you hit her up? She has AAA. Remember, it's under both of y'all name. And I don't know if he forgot that, or if he just didn't want to be bothered with Ruby because of the fact that he's, you know, talking to uh, Nuri now. But anywho, he goes over there, and like he didn't call, did nothing. I guess he still got a key. He goes over there. Ruby, I think she was in her bed sleeping or something. He's in the living room going through stuff, looking for the AAA through drawers and everything, wakes her up, disturbs her at her rest, and she comes in there panicking, thinking he's a burglar or something. And he sees all these wrappers on her and these tubes on either side of her hips, and I'm like, what is wrong with this chick? Is them them tools that you use for, like, you know, people who have surgery or elderly to I forgot what they're called, but to use the bathroom or whatnot. And so he's like, what the heck going on with you? What happened? And she breaks down and she tells him, you know, because you know she's a yoga instructor and has her own studio and everything. But she thought that she was had to be competing with all these really skinny white people in order to get them to come to her studio. So she wanted to lose some weight. So she had bypass or surgery or something like that. and no, liposuction. She had liposuction, and he just felt compelled to be there for her. And I thought that was really, really, really nice. But then I'm thinking, how would how would Nuri feel? And I knew when he started taking care of her and started, lying her down and giving her meds and telling her he was going to give her a bubble bath and walking her around the house for exercise and reading the pamphlets on her surgery and what she's supposed to do, the aftercare. I just knew that he was going to miss his date with Nuri. Did y'all realize that? I knew that before it even happened, that he was going to miss his date with Nuri. And it was almost like he wasn't even thinking about it. Like, I guess he told her, you know what? Even though I don't live here anymore, even though we broke up, that doesn't mean that I don't care for you. And that's not many things that people have. Sometimes once it's over, it's done. We don't know. I don't care whose fault it was. If you fall off a cliff, if you get in a wreck, if you get cancer, some people just be like, hey, you know what? I'll say a prayer for you, shoot one up to God for you, you know. But he felt compelled to stay there, and he took care of her, was giving her a bath and everything. And I'm up here thinking, this isn't gonna go right. This is not gonna go right because he's doing some stuff that, as a woman, if you were with a man and y'all broke up, you're not expecting them to do this kind of stuff, and that can also like mislead them, kind of way, mislead them in a certain type of way, thinking that, oh, he still really cares for me. He must still love me. He must, still trying to be with me or whatever, whatever. So I'm waiting to see how that goes in the next further episodes, because Ruby, she just seems like she's in a place right now where she's really needy, and it seems like she's depressed, like she felt like she had to get this surgery so bad, or nothing was going to work out for her. So anywho, Nuri, she waiting around on him at the spot where they're supposed to hook up at the first place they met, which was Insomnia, and he doesn't show up. She goes home, she's feeling all betrayed and everything, especially after the fact that her mom was like, you don't know nothing about him. You don't even know his last name. You don't know if he got kids. You don't know if he's committed a crime. Hell, you don't know where the man lives. So she's at home just all depressed and everything. And at the restaurant, then she goes home and she notices that his car is still there. No, I'm sorry. That's a little bit later. She goes in the house and she tries to make some phone calls and try to figure out, where Yasir is at. And she can't get any contact information for him. And so then her neighbor, she goes out, she comes up to her, and I can't remember, did she go outside and see the car, or did the neighbor come to her and tell her the car's out there? I think she went outside and saw the car, and then her neighbor walked up to her, little old lady, little old white lady neighbor, thanks for the nosy neighbors. She walks up to her and she's asking her basically, is everything okay? I saw this car here, and your guy fellow that spent the night, like, she's one of those real nosy neighbors. She probably knew what time he got there, knew what time he woke up, knew what kind of coffee flavor they had in the morning and everything. And so she's basically, talking to her, talking about, I'm supposed to have a date, and I don't know where he is, and I don't know his last name, I don't know his phone number, I don't know where he lives. And she's just, oh my gosh, she's just breaking down and everything. And so the little old white lady, she was like, well, his last name is, I can't remember what his last name was, but she said his last name is such and such. And she's like pulling down on the car window, like, back in the day, they had the motor, not the motorized, the electric, but they had the kind that you have to roll down. So she kind of pulls it down. You know how they come down kind of easily. And she was looking at his mail and everything, and they're like, oh my gosh, all his mail is in here. He got clothes in here. He got shoes in here. She was like, is he living out his car? So she grabs the address, gets the information, because she's about to find out what the heck is going on. And with her man, he done stood her up. His car is left out here. He got all this stuff in his car, like he's living out his car. So she goes over to the address on the mail, which happens to be where Ruby and them is, and knocks on the door. She knocking on the door like the police, knocking on the door for her man. And he comes to the door, and it's like he automatically knew. And you could tell on Ruby's face, it was like she automatically knew. Like she ain't never met her, but she just knew that this was the lady he was involved with at this moment. So she knocks on the door. He comes outside. She's asking questions. Where were you? Why you stood me up? You had me sitting at the restaurant. You couldn't call. You couldn't nothing. He's like, well, I couldn't find your number. And she's like, well, I need some explanation. And she just started rambling off. What's your last name? Where do you work? Are you living out the car? Are you homeless? Do you not have a job? She just started rambling off question after question after question. And he didn't want to get into it right now because he's there taking care of Ruby, but he didn't want to explain to her that he's taking care of Ruby because he didn't want to scare her off and make her think that, he's still messing around with Ruby, because she probably wouldn't understand because she's so upset right now because she was stood up by a man that she's supposedly in love with. And then she realizes this man might be homeless. He might be just trying to use me. He's no longer with Ruby. I'm sure she's probably wondering, did he get put out because he wasn't working? Or is he a bum? Or is he a leech? I mean, what's going on? And he don't want to answer no questions. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I promise I'll talk to you tomorrow. And she's like, why can't you talk to me today? Why not? He's like, listen, I will talk to you tomorrow. I will holler at you tomorrow. And then he don't want to tell Ruby that it's Nuri outside. So after she storms off and leaves, he's like, oh my God, what have I got myself into? He goes in there and Ruby's like, who was that? And he's like, I'll tell you about it later, or I'll talk to you about it later. And Ruby's sitting there like everything just drained away from her, but she still feels appreciative of what he's doing for her. That's the least she can do, because this man don't have to be there rubbing your back with some bubbles and making your bed up for you, and he probably warming her up some soup and all kind of other stuff and giving her medicines and helping her walk around the house. He ain't got to be doing all that mess. You ain't his woman anymore. So, at least feel a little appreciative of that, because I don't think he's going to be blown after after Nori pissed off. So, you guys, let me know what you thought about this last episode. I'm so in love with this show. I need to find me a yes sir. I mean, do I gotta find me a Muslim? And he's so chocolate. I love, man, if you know me personally, friends, relatives, whatnot, you know that I love me a chocolate Snicker. Man, I mean chocolate. The darker, the better. But anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm sitting in this car. Like I said, I was out here running errands. I need to get up in this Walmart. I gotta get some money orders, get a few groceries, snacks for the kids for the weekend, and things like that. So I want to say before I go, make sure you share this video and like this video. And if you are not a subscriber, please click subscribe. And after you hit subscribe, you're going to see a bell. And around the bell is going to be some asterisks. And those asterisks will let you know that you will now receive all my live notification videos. If you don't see the asterisks, hit the bell again till you see the asterisks. I want to thank you for watching my video today. Happy Friday to everyone today. And I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful, safe weekend, a continuation of the 4th, if you are still having family and friends over from out of town or whatever. So anyway, you guys, you stay safe, you be blessed, and I'm out.